This is Andrew for the Chosen Prime with a quick video review of ToyWorld TW-C04 Allocator, otherwise known as their take on a Masterpiece-scale hook, Constructicon hook. You can see that here's his large box with the artwork on the front that will match up and make a diorama once we have all 6 bots. It'll also make a Devastator diorama, but we'll show that off later. Allocator does come packaged in the same foam-lined box that all the other Constructicons came packaged in. He does come with an instruction sheet as well as a sticker. If we lift off this foam panel, he does come with extra parts, arm joints for the arms for their Constructor, Unearth, and Bulldozer. Apparently there were issues with the first run release of those figures, and so that's why they get these extra parts. The second run of figures that Chosen Prime got apparently did not have this issue, but they do give you these parts with all of their allocators. He does come with the gun that he can wield. He comes with the combined robot head for Devastator or Constructor, and I'll show that off in detail in a little bit. And then finally, he does come packaged here in the foam in this crane mode. And so we'll go ahead and we'll look at some detail. Taking a look at some of the details here in crane mode for Allocator, you can see that he's got quite a lot of paint on him. There's stripes here painted on his crane arm, some silver bits, black bits, lights in the back. Overall, he looks quite good here in this crane mode. He's got 2 canopies that have clear purple plastic. As far as the boom arm, it is ratcheted. It can extend to twice its size, so you can get quite a long crane. This hook can move forward and back. As far as rotation, it does have a 360 ability to rotate. If you'd like, you can, due to transformation, you can slide it forward a little bit. It's a personal preference. He does have rubber tires. All 6 wheels are made out of rubber. And just in general, it's very clean looking throughout. Even the bottom here is pretty clean. If you want to, you can take his weapon, and there's several peg holes throughout the vehicle mode here where you can peg it in. He's just kind of covered all around with them. The instructions kind of show up plugging it in there, but again, you can, it's personal preference on where you want to place it. And so we'll go ahead and we'll transform him. To begin transformation, lift up on these toe pieces here. Pull apart at the middle, exposing this kind of joint assembly here. The legs are held together with these locking tabs, so you want to lift up on both of them. They actually come with a little lip that helps you lift them up. Split the legs, or start to split the legs. Come around to the back. These panels here, like the other Constructicons, you want to lift up and hinge them outwards, but you have access to the legs. Then just feed and bend the leg around. You want to do that on both sides. Come to the back of the legs, and you're gonna want to have this panel here folded on itself. And I would recommend what you would do instead is, versus folding and trying to push it in, let it kind of feed its way through the heavier part up here and then push it down. The feet just hinge forward or to the side, and there's the foot. And this panel again, we will just fold it over enough so that it can kind of slide into place. And do the foot. Come to these locking pegs that we had unlocked for vehicle mode, or when he was in vehicle mode, and push them in so they're hidden. The torso can now be collapsed, supporting it, and it'll lock down and peg down. The arms, the way the arms work is that these pieces here are actually on a hinge that lifts, or a channel that lifts straight up, but it's a locking channel, so it might take a little bit of pressure to kind of lift it up. And there's actually 2 clicks most of the time. You want to make sure that you have access to both rotate it this way as rotate it this way. And so you can see the difference in heights between the one that's unlocked and the one that's locked. And again, make sure that it's the full extension. Take the arms, rotate them to the sides, rotate them around so that the wheel sections are up top. Open this chest panel here, unpeg it. To have access to the head, flip the head out, rotate it around. The backpack can now slide downwards onto his back, And there's peg holes that match the pegs on these hinged pieces. And I do recommend not fully pegging these in all the way because it can be difficult to actually loosen these. There's no real great way to kind of grab them other than put a tool in there. So they don't need to be pushed in all the way, just make sure that they're locked in there. Take the chest panel and now flip it up and peg it in. Come to the hands, flip out this panel. And unfortunately, due to how the panel here is has a square piece, it's kind of difficult to actually, it's locked in place. And so I recommend taking a tool the first couple times until it breaks in and push pressure on this side of the hand to just kind of break the lock, which will then let you flip it around. And so they do that on the other side. And it's just kind of how it's designed. Maybe we could trim some plastic to get it loose, or just ever use it might eventually get easier, but just put a bit of pressure on that side of the wrist and it'll you'll have access to it. The wheel pieces here are on a hinge. You can push out and move them lower onto the arm. The instructions show them rotated all the way back, but it's up to you how you want to position them. He can hold his weapon in his hand. His hands have pegs that match the channel in the gun. And so we just go ahead and peg it in and then wrap the fingers around the weapon. And technically, where these silver pieces are the top of his arms, it's up to you. You can either have that be the top of his arms and his elbow, or he's got this elbow. It's personal preference. But there is Allocator in his robot mode. So we'll look at some detail. Getting some robot detail here for Allocator. His head is on a swivel and pivot joint, so you can look side to side, look up and down. He does have light piping for his visor, and his neck joint there does give him a little bit of play as far as forwards and back. He does have a sneer on his face, which is kind of nice for the character there. His arms, as far as rotation and access, he's got a hinge that lets the arm go up and down at this point, as well as you can pivot it out that way. But then unlike the other ones, he's actually got multiple joints for the arm. So he does have the bicep swivel, and you can bend his arm at a 90-degree angle this way, but then he also has a joint that lets him bend it this way. So there's a lot of kind of different options you have with his hands here. Same thing with the wheel panels. They can hinge and move up or down, kind of depending on how you want to pose them. He has the standard ToyWorld Constructicon hand that has individually ball jointed fingers and thumb that can rotate. He can twist at his waist. He does have universal hips that can go forward and back that are not ratcheted. His knees are ratcheted. As you do ratchet them, this panel here bends out of the way, but then you just can hide it. So you can get a pretty good, almost double jointed knee there. And you just go ahead and reposition this panel to fill it up. The foot is on a pivot joint that can extend, and so you can get some nice ankle articulation out of him. Overall, he does have a fairly clean backpack and one that's kind of standard. 2 most hooks with the crane arm on the back. He does not need it for support, but it also does stay out of the way. And he looks like a really great version of Hook here in his robot mode. So on to combined mode. To get Allocator ready for combination, we need to first come and expose the 4 connector ports that are hidden on his underside. Here's one. There's one hidden here. There's one hidden on his head, and another hidden at this arm here. To get to this one, unhook these 2 little locking tabs here, and we will partially transform the legs to get access to that part. And you can kind of see the gray of it here. You can either lift up from the inside or get a finger nail underneath to kind of just push it out. Get it ready, and then we'll just go ahead and close it back up with that one exposed. And go ahead and lock these tabs again. And the ones that are up here by his head, go ahead and temporarily lift up, and you see that there's one hook here, or one of those tabs. Good, just rotate this enough to get that piece out. And the other is next to his head, so move one arm out of the way, and there's a little tab just enough to flip it down. And now we just want to get him back into his vehicle mode now that these are exposed. So just kind of collapse everything back down together. These hook locking tabs here, we want to lift up on each of them and get them ready. This panel right here will hinge forward, right here. Now we want to take and fold him in half, so expand him. And there are two peg holes here that match the pegs on this side. And I might recommend for now pushing back on the crane arm here, just so you can kind of make sure that you get these pieces, those tabs hooked up. And then if you see the this back panel here is kind of keyed, so when you bring it forward, it'll kind of push over onto this rail here. And then we lock down these two tabs. Just kind of make sure that we get it all pushed together, and they'll hold them down securely. Now we can come to the combined head, and there's 4 pegs that match the 4 peg holes here, as well as that rail. And there's his head ready to go. For the arms to attach, we lift up on a panel here, and then we unlock the canopy here. And this is where the arms, the square parts of the arms will slide in here, and then this will lock down in place to hold it. So take this panel here, fold it in, collapse it, and that's where it'll lock the arm in. Similar thing on the other side. Flip this up. It's a really strong locking mechanism here to make sure that the arm never gets loose. Fold that flap in, and then when you eventually do lock, when you put the arm in there, you'll put this in to lock in the piece. Next, we'll grab the chest wing that came with shovel, and this little black piece here will hinge down. And there is a peg on the top part here that matches this peg hole here, so go ahead and lock this down into place on that spot. And we come to the underside, and this panel will flip up, and there's a peg that matches the peg hole there. Take the wings and extend them, and there is essentially the top head and neck piece of Constructor here. He does come with a light up feature, and he actually comes pre-installed with batteries. There's a little white peg on the back to light up his eyes, and there are clear parts of his head, which is very cool. If you don't want just him to have the red eyes, if you push down on this part of his crest, you'll get his visor or sunglasses. So you have 2 options available to you. The head can swivel quite a distance. It does look up and down, and it looks very, very menacing here in this mode. Robot mode comparisons for ToyWorld Allocator with Combiner Wars hook. Here you can see that Allocator is taller than the official Combiner Wars hook and more detailed, but stylistically they both have the same kind of call outs as far as their head sculpt, the shoulders, the legs, etc. Obviously you get better posability, detail, and arms with the ToyWorld effort. The ToyWorld effort doesn't need to use his crane arm as a support, unlike the Combiner Wars one. But I think this shows off that Allocator is an excellent Masterpiece style hook. Vehicle mode comparisons, you can see that stylistically they are the same as far as where the crane is positioned and the 2 driver seats are, but that Allocator is larger and more detailed than Combiner Wars hook. And then how this piece can rotate as well as extend, whereas the Combiner Wars version will not. But you can see that Allocator here does look like what you would assume a Masterpiece hook to look like. Robot mode comparisons with an official Masterpiece figure. Here's Masterpiece Prowl, and then we have Allocator in his robot mode. He is taller than a standard Carbot, but he's roughly the same height as the medium to large scale Masterpieces like Ironhide, Ratchet, Starscream. But stylistically, I think these 2 look good side by side. I think there's enough design aesthetics on the Allocator here to make him look like he's a Masterpiece style version of the Constructicon hook. Vehicle mode comparisons. Here you can see that Prowl beside Allocator looks kind of nice in this smaller scale, considering it's a car versus a crane. But stylistically, Allocator's design, aesthetic, and size and scale do match what I would assume a Masterpiece level hook to look like. And so it's kind of cool to see these two side by side, and I think Allocator does a good job of fitting into Masterpiece collections. So final thoughts here on ToyWorld TW-C04 Allocator, or their attempt at a Masterpiece scale hook. I would think they've delivered. This is what I would hope a Masterpiece hook would turn out like. It's great engineering, great paint, solid posability, great design. He's got some emotion here with that sneer on his face, and then he actually, he combines with the others to make that giant Devastator. Allocator and most of the other Constructicons are currently available from the Chosen Prime. I would say if you like what you've seen, they're great as a set or individually, and they come recommended, so take care.